Good morning, Juanita. We're here in kind of a different place, different space, different time, and it's kind of a weird situation, but we really wanted to meet again and to talk about some things that are just, we're all thinking about. And so, how are you guys? Are you guys doing good? Hey. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're here just to really discuss how to survive. This is what is all on our minds and our hearts. How to survive learning at home. And so that's kind of what we're going today, the angle we're going to take on this morning meetup. So thank you for joining us. We're super glad you're with us. And I know you may have questions, so while we're talking about some things that we've thought through, maybe you have questions, so if you can just send those in, we're going to answer them along the way too. So we'll take time to do that. So thinking of good questions and really taking some silly questions if you have it. Everybody needs silly. We do! We can make anything silly. Okay. So how to survive learning at home, girls? You ready? You ready for the topic? I think so. Yeah. Are you guys still learning at home? We've been learning, It's kind of interesting when you're first at home. When you're working or at school, you think of all the things you want to do when you're at home. But then when you have forced at home time, you're like, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and twirl my hair and stare at Facebook and all those things. So we really want to give you some good tools for how to survive this time and help your family and even just for your own mental health and self-care. So the first thing I want to talk about, this is kind of one of the things that I was thinking through as I'm a mom of kids. I have a 14, 16, and 21-year-old still at home. But the question I had to myself was, what mountains do I want to die on right now? And I don't know if you guys think of it, and I know you all don't have children at home right now, but you think of some things here too. But I think my house, it's very easy for me to always worry about things that don't matter. Does anybody else have this problem in their life where you just kind of sweat the small stuff? Mm-hmm. So one of my New Year's challenges was don't sweat the small stuff. Well, then this happened. And there's a lot to sweat about, okay? You're going to a house together, it's tight quarters, everybody's a little bit sick of each other at this point. And so I was just thinking through, what mountains do I want to die on? I don't know. Suzanne, do you have any mountains that, in your home, I'm not dying on that mountain, or I am dying on that mountain?
One of the things that we, and this sounds silly, I'm going back on my word, but when we had regular school, we used to do video games on Monday through Wednesday, and then on Thursday, all the homework was done, and then we allowed 45 minutes on Thursday at night. Well, now we're in this position where school looks completely different, and we have lots and lots of free time. So it's easy, Jack was asking me, so do we still have the rule? Because I'm really all about rules, all about those rules, laws, and so I was like, exactly that question, do I want to die on this hill?
Yeah, right.
And so I said, well, let's do this together, and let's see how school goes, and if you get all your work done, by a decent time, then maybe we'll consider it, knowing that he can't go outside and play, and that he, can't have friends over, and there's so many things that have been taken away. So I'm not gonna die. Don't let Jack see this. I am not going to die on that mountain.
I heard her say it. You better be in school right now.
Yes, you better not be watching. So that's one thing that I'm really, and then little things like making their beds every morning. I want them to make their bed every morning. Now we have time, so actually we're going to make our bed. There's things are changing, and we have to move those walls and move those mountains a little bit.
And be creative with the time that you do have. Yeah. One of the things that I have, first of all of my food is getting eaten all day long because I have grown men. I don't have little children in my house. They're all big men. They're big people men.
It's the Corona
fat. I know. First pair of jeans that I put on in 3 weeks. But for real, I one of the mountains that I'm not dying on is trying to control what everybody's eating all the time because I realize that we're all bored a little bit and we're snacking all day long. And so normally we don't snack a lot in our house, but so we are definitely, I'm not dying on that mountain. And another thing I'm not dying on is, this is a weird one, and no one else probably has this problem, but my kids have gotten these giant extension cords. Now, let's just track with me for a second. These giant extension cords, and have hooked them up and have spread them all over my living room so that they could sit on the couch while do their homework and their schoolwork and their video games online and attach their phones. And there's these two humongous black extension cords.
Oh, they go with the big cord.
And And I fear that I normally be like, this is not working. This is cluttery, and I'm just letting them do it. It's a no, I'm going to die. Now that's a weird one for you. It might be just the clutter in the house. I'm not dying on that, right?
The house looks different now.
Right? Is it
Like
cluttered?
the cute little office study that like I do stuff in now is now their classroom, and all their stuff is on my desk, and so I can't be like, take your stuff upstairs. I mean, because they're schooling there now, and
right.
So yeah,
it's just allowing the clutter to not be the thing. Because honestly, at this point, it's nice to have some cleanup time at the end of the day, but at this point, really keeping everything tidy all day long is impossible because we're all together in one space, and it's just too much management. So maybe don't wear yourself out with cleaning all day long. Just maybe wait till the end of the day and hide those extension
or have one room that's like, this is the room that we're going to keep, honestly, because that's good for mental health as well. Just have this space. We're not going to clutter this space. This is the one that at the end of the night, like you can walk in, mom and dad, after the kids have gone to bed, if they have bedtimes anymore, and that you can kind of sit and just relax, because there's something mentally that's nice about not having clutter. So maybe that's your bedroom too. That might just be like, nobody comes in here, so that might be.
Have you set up space for your learners at home? Do you have a specific spot for each of them?
Yes, we actually pulled desks from other rooms, and they're all in one room. And Evangeline's is nice and neat, and Jack has all of his video game I can't remember what they're called, set up. I'm like, where's your computer going to go?
Right.
And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. So he found a spot for it. But yes, letting them own that space, I think that's really important for them. And then they go to school there, and then they can also take a break from that space. So that's working for them. They're also younger than your boys, but. I think it's not a bad idea, even if it is the living room with the extension cord. That's their workspace.
It is a workspace.
And they set it up, and they're comfortable there.
They made it work.
That's important.
And they're doing it. They're doing it without complaining. Actually, they said, just so you guys know, my 14 and 16-year-old, don't tell anybody, said they actually enjoyed it yesterday.
You liked school?
I don't even know.
We got that on video.
I know. Let's write that down. Okay, so you guys, throw it in here. What are some things you're allowing yourself to do at home that you normally wouldn't do? And you'd be like, nah, I'm not. Is there anything?
So I'm one out of two people in my home, so it's an apartment, and we're roommates, and doing a lot of working from home, a lot of Zoom calls. Something that is kind of my sanity right now is honestly cooking, and it's kind of it's kind of what we have to do right now in a lot of ways, other than takeout. We can't do that every single night, but it has really just sparked my creativity and makes me feel pretty peaceful. It's like, this is something I have control over right now. So I really enjoyed that, and so I'm allowing myself to think of new recipes, or go to the store and kind of dream up what I'm going to be making. So I'm really enjoying that part of it.
And you might not always have time to do that when you're busy going, you might have ideas. I want to try this sometime. I want to try this sometime. It's time to tackle your Pinterest board. What's something you're allowing yourself to do that you don't normally do?
So, several things. But right now, I'm married. I don't have any kids yet, but I am married, and my husband makes messes sometimes like kids. But we have a certain time of day where we do clean up. So 5 p.m. while I'm making dinner, he's cleaning up all the projects that he's got for work. That way we've got the evening that's clean. So just to speak to that a little bit, having a certain time of the evening to clean up, that way the evening can feel a little more clean while you eat dinner and, do whatever other things you're going to do. But, and then I'm also walking my dog, and I just, that fills me up. So walking my dog has been, if I need to get out of the house, we live in a smaller space, and so that just, I keep my distance from other people, but I walk my dog, and it calms me down. I can feel the stress leaving as I walk. And my dog, maybe he's taking all the stress, I don't know, but it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. Those are good things. Okay, so kind of touching on what you said, Rebecca, about your creativity. I know we're all trying to come up with things in this time to just fill our minds and our spaces. And so you had talked about some creativity things that are important to you right now. Is that element of creativity? Why don't you share with us?
One of my favorite things about creativity is that it happens best when there are limits. Sometimes it can be really overwhelming when there are seemingly no limits. I could do anything right now, and it feels like you have to do everything then. And so with the limits that we just naturally have now, I'm looking around, and what I'm finding is like inventory is a really great place to start. So it's kind of like reflecting, and what do I have right now that I can just engage with? And I've had a ukulele for a few months that I haven't touched. I mean, it's been touched maybe 5 minutes here and there, and it's like just not enough.
Spot
Right, just to move it. Yeah, right. It looks better over there. Yeah, right. Not actually for playing purposes. So just engaging with that has brought so much joy to my life. I think that and two, because we have social media to scroll through, I'm looking and I'm seeing other people engage with the creativity that they have. They're posting videos of their children singing songs, and one of them was they were harmonizing with each other yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good for our community to just see. There are so many options that we have in our own family and in our own selves that I just think that when we start drawing those out, it's going to create a lot more joy in our lives. I was kind of thinking about joy, and there's a great quote called, or I can't remember who said it, but it was, comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yes.
And so it's great to scroll through social media and see what other people are doing, but only for the sake of inspiration. What could I be doing that's in my home? Because everyone's home is looking different right now. But that's where the creativity really can spark. Nobody else has these things that are my essentials. And that's what's going to create joy, I think, in this time. So
that is good. That is good. And I think, when it comes to working with your kids, so, I've got some things I want to do creatively, but then I'm trying to help my kids see how to be creative, and that's a little bit harder because I have lots of good ideas for them. I'm like, what you could do?
You have ideas, I do.
What you should do? So just trying to, I think cultivating a feeling of creativity in the home is not always as easy because it is, I see the good things that they could do, but they don't always see the good things that they could do. And they are often, especially our teenagers, are so in the world of comparison. That's just kind of where they're at. It's unhealthy at times. And so just getting them out of that world a little bit, pulling them from Instagram and pulling them from the social media where they are comparing, because they are. They're on TikTok going, I can't dance like that, And they're on Instagram going, I don't look like that. So I think creating that space of creativity is hard. And so, in our house, we're trying to help them see the tools that we have. Our kids are musicians, so how can we utilize that? Our kids are funny. How can we utilize that? They just having some fun through so many different ways. We set up an obstacle course, and
I think you need to post that.
I'm going to.
That was really,
it has been posted. I'll repost it.
Really
so
cute.
they took a ping pong ball and they set up this obstacle course with your husband actually, and in our house we were social distancing. There were less than 10 from upstairs all the way downstairs to see if the ping pong ball could go from this to that, and boy, it sure did. And it took 5 hours, but it was the best 5 hours of our week. So what are some ways that Suzanne, do you see some ways to create creativity right now at home?
One for the little ones, I think that's a big thing because so many things. We're going out, we have play dates, we're going to the pool, and now we can't do those things. The parks have been closed, and that's so hard for our 9-year-old. But we used to watch a show years ago when I homeschooled, and if they got all their work done in the morning, we used to let them watch Out of the Box. And so there was a box that yes. But I think it's great for right now. It's a really great idea to have a box that after school's done, that you just put stuff in. So it's egg cartons, and it's cardboard, and it's shoe boxes, and it's glue and whatever. And every day or every week put some new things in there so that, we're going to take out our box. And the kids will have so much more creative ideas, and I know as a mom, if you go, why don't we make they're like, no,
especially teenagers,
So,
well, one thing that I was thinking about when you were talking too is sometimes for myself, if I'm babysitting, having a sheet where we just data dump. We just throw all of our ideas of what we do. And and it's not a list of okay, first this, then that, and it's not strict at all. It's like a menu, so we just throw it up all over the paper, and then did we do this? Okay, we could check it off or cross it out. And so it's their ideas. So I'm kind of tricking them, don't tell them, into not being bored. And
so good.
Yeah.
And sometimes also if you name it, today is Drawing Pokemon Day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we have our Pokemon books that walk you through how to draw. Then it's like, oh, it's Pokemon drawing day. You know, and if you name it, sometimes it makes it more fun and it makes it more real. You know, I think that's kind of a great way. It's Play-Doh day. It's, you know, make a sculpture of your dad day. I don't know. You know, you can be really creative.
I was just thinking
You're
Play-Doh.
welcome.
How can I still bring? I have 14. Make a sculpture of your father.
Or claymation, they can do claymation.
That's
They can
so
do
good.
little animated things. I mean, I know your boys do little skits
Yes,
and
yeah.
stuff, but you know, just thinking of those different things, and sometimes pulling out things that were in the back of the closet, especially for little ones. Like we have magnets that they play with, and they haven't played with them in weeks. So you bring that out, and they're like, oh, look at these are new. And you're like, oh, it's you know, this is something you just put stuff on for months. So just pulling out some new things. Finger paints if you're brave, or chalk for the sidewalk to make messages for, you know, people walking by, you know, and if you like you, I love that, writing those activities down and all those ideas, and maybe even making a little schedule for fun, like this is our fun schedule. We have our school schedule and our fun schedule. So there's lots of different ways. It takes a little work before they wake up in the morning, but I think that really does, it is worth it, because those are long days.
Well, and I would say as adults, let's not fall into that trap of comparison as moms and dads. I think we can look at things and think, oh, I can't do that because they're so good at that. I would say this, just try it. Be intentional about it. I think you just have to step out and do some things you haven't done before. And in this time, we have to do things that we have not done before. Yeah. And I know that our teenagers will be a little bit harder to pull into that, but you can be creative enough to pull them in. And they really do want you to push in and do that with them, even though they're like, that's so lame. Really, it's not. But with the younger kids, man, I miss those days of just the intentional time. If you say, let's, whatever, Play-Doh, they usually are like, yeah, let's do it. So I think just, you know, get off of social media, get off of these things and go and do, so that you don't let this time pass by without any really cool memories and moments to pull out of it. You know what I mean?
And we have to remember there is another side. This isn't forever. This is,
that's
it's,
right.
yes, it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 4 months. It will end. And we're not going to have this day back, you know. So what am I doing today to connect with my kids? I can't remember. I think it was Jack who said, you know, we can have breakfast together now every day.
Right.
And I'm like,
it's
we
lovely.
have breakfast together every day. But now it's fun. I don't know. Great. Yes, son. Sounds good. But you know, those little tiny things, that those moments that you don't have, that you didn't. I just really think that we have to look at it not like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get through this? But like, I get to have these moments, you know.
Cool.
And don't be afraid to write them down. My grandmother used to have a calendar, a paper calendar. She'd write 3 things that happened on each day. And this is a historic time. It's a scary time, but we're going to want to look back. Remember remember that game that Dad made up that we all laughed at? Just think about, remember that obstacle course? You want to remember those things. This is not going to happen again in our lifetime, hopefully. But we have to grab the good, and we have to dwell on that for our kids.
And I think our kids are going to remember completely different. I think someone wrote this down in a meme somewhere. I probably saw it, but they're going to remember the time at home. They're going to remember that everything slowed down. They're probably going to remember that, we all of a sudden played games and we hadn't done that for a really long time. So I kind of see this time as it really is an opportunity. It's not a prison. It's an opportunity.
My daughter said to me, my 9-year-old, Mom, I'm glad you're here.
Oh.
Which made me feel immediately.
Yeah, that's really
guilty.
great.
What do you mean? I was like, thanks, honey. So we'll go to therapy later. But obviously this moment is different for them, and they're seeing it differently, and so we have to remember that in our stress and our fear and our how are we going to do today. We do have to remember that they're looking at it differently.
Absolutely. So I guess I didn't really introduce everybody. Obviously, we know who Mrs. Legg is. So I'm going to take time right now. This is Rebecca Chase, and she's actually she's great.
My
She's
God.
your daughter.
No.
She's a daughter and actually a former
We
teacher
just got the
here.
blood test.
Guys, I brought you here to reveal that she's your daughter. It's really cool. I'm glad you guys can join us. Rebecca was also an educator here last year. She was a kindergarten. Did you just do 1 year? Did you do 2 years?
I've been
Okay,
everywhere.
never mind.
Yeah,
She's all over the place. Her creativity just spills out. And this is Laurel Jones, and the three of us actually are doing the Shine program after school on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, and we're continuing that through Zoom or through our online, what's it called, Google
Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. Thank you.
Yes.
And so we met with the girls yesterday, and there were 20 girls, and it was really, really great.
So great.
Just to see their faces and to encourage them. So I would challenge you or encourage you to have them sign on next week. So it's for middle school and high school girls here at Dayspring.
And we have a boys program too.
Oh, we do?
Strength with Mr. Bedoya.
When does that start? When is that meeting?
It is today.
Okay, at
I'm getting told at 3 o'clock.
at 3 o'clock. Mr. Bedoya is going to be doing that. Is so good. I'm gonna make Finley get on.
So that's the boys' version of Shine. It's called
Okay,
Strength.
strength. Oh, that is so great. Okay,
So
so these really those spaces and times, and it's a club. I guess you could consider it a club. It's a place where we can encourage your kids, because sometimes when they're middle school, high school, they don't always listen to just you. And it's nice to have other adults in their life come alongside and give them a good word. So anyway, I brought that up to introduce you, but also, one of the things we talked about yesterday was, let's just dive into really what is going on in this is where we want to land today. There's a lot of fear and a lot of worry and, the unknowns, and we know that your kids are struggling with that. It might be maybe not the younger ones, but they might be. And so yesterday we really talked about what can we do with thoughts that come into our head that feel negative and worry, and then it kind of goes down a path of, just from one rabbit hole to another. You just go down the trail of what's going to happen. And so, in talking through that, one of the things that I personally wanted to share was just a mental health trick that I have used in my own life, and I would just challenge you to use, and you guys can speak to it too, but take time to teach your kids and to model for your kids how to be thankful. I just think in this time, again, just some of the creativity and the moments that we have and the time that we have, it's a great time to stop and to cover your brain, cover your mind with things that you're thankful for, because we all have some. Every single person has something that they can just say, I'm so thankful for, and you just fill in the blank. I'm thankful for, and share them as a family every day. I would challenge you every day to come up with some things in this space and in this time that you're just like, I'm so thankful we can still take walks.
Yes.
I'm so thankful that we can take my dog on a walk. I'm so whatever that thing is. I mean, it has been proven through science and through research that if you fill your brain with grateful thoughts, that it can clear away dark thoughts. And I know that middle school and high schoolers go through a dark brain season. They really do. And especially if they're comparing and walking through all those things. So I would just challenge you in this time, give them some things to be thankful for. And you may need to search for that. That might need to be okay, you've got something, and everyone has something. So I would just say, take a walk with your family. Get outside and look at the trees and look at the palm trees and look at the birds. We have the coolest birds in Florida. Do you guys know what a roseated spoonbill is?
Didn't tell you.
Her dad loves birds,
Yes.
and through her dad, I vicariously love birds. The roseated spoonbill looks like a flamingo. It's a small pink bird, but it has a really long. Anyway, have you seen it?
Yeah.
And is that a flamingo?
Yes.
It's a roseated or edit. I don't know if it's roseated spoonbill, and it looks like a flamingo. It's not. I mean, there might be flamingos here, but anyway. You can look at that bird and think, my goodness, that's a pink flat-billed bird, and that is so cool. And whatever makes you excited. I was sitting out on my back porch, and there were 2 eagles soaring over my head 2 days ago, and I just whoa.
Yeah.
That was a pretty powerful moment. So I don't know, what do you guys think about that whole thought of gratitude and filling your brain with that?
Well, I'm grateful that I know that now. So every time that I see that bird, I'm like, I know who you are. Yes. I actually love that. I love. I was doing that actually just this morning because of what you said yesterday. It's been a practice that ebbs and flows out of my life, but it really should stay because there is always something to be grateful for. And my goal is always to write, if I'm doing that, I'm going to write 5 things down. But as soon as I get to 5, there's always 6 and 7, and I want to keep going. And it's my life is good. My life is good, and we start just taking off. It's like the Clarence and Deed commercial. You take off the grayness, and you can start seeing in full color things that are actually present in our lives. So So thank you for that tip.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm also thinking through the getting outside thing and seeing things outside that you're thankful for, but also to get vitamin D because our bodies are not getting vitamin D when we're in our house all day. So yes,
really
because that helps with what's happening in our bodies is getting vitamin D, which comes from the sun. also thinking through what you're thankful for with the people that you're living with. So like the things I'm thankful for about my sister and my brother. So the things around you, also the people, because you're with the same people a lot.
That's really
right now. So yeah, and it's easy to get frustrated with each other, absolutely. But just thinking through like, what are the things that I really appreciate about that person that I can maybe say to them, and that kind of thing. So
That's good.
I love that.
I needed that go to work today.
And it's something not to be gloomy, but we do have to look at some of the other countries that have gone through this epidemic, and the divorce numbers are really rising. And why is that? Because we're under stress and we're all cooped up in the same spot. So that's thinking, I love it. Thinking thankful things about other people. My mom was creative, and so she had on our wall at one point, because she'd go through fads, but she had on our wall, it said count your blessings, and there were little bubbles, and that every day they were putting something on it, just a blessing. And so that's a really great thing you can do with your kids, but honestly, we need to really think about the people that we're with and counting those blessings, because that argument, can start and spark and stay. And then the kids, if there are kids in the home, are watching that and hearing that. And a lot of psychologists compare that to a war zone and the effects of war on those kids. So we really have to think that through. And I think that thankful piece is, it immediately brings you to another spot rather than, I can't believe that they blah. It just takes you to, but I'm very grateful that, what is that? And I think we need to live in that thankful space for a lot more reasons than we think. It's a mental health thing, but it's also for our family. I think that's really important.
And I would say, even if you tend to be a negative person, I think one of my natural tendencies is to be a negative person, and so I have to retrain myself. So this is not something that I'm like, I'm so thankful all the time.
Right.
I'm not, okay?
Wow.
And I live with all men, and it's hard. And I need that.
But you're thankful.
But I'm so thankful. No, right?
You're the only girl.
I'm the only girl on the team.
you get to represent,
Right? But I think that you really can retrain. Don't forget that we can retrain our brain to do some things that we've never done. So I think even if your whole life you've been negative and you've been negative about this one person in your house, you can stop today and start some new things today. You have time. You have no excuse. There's time for that. And I'm telling myself this right now. No, but that is so good. I love that. Thank you, Laurel, for sharing that. So, okay, so along those lines, you were talking about, Suzanne, just really you're passionate about caring for our souls and ourselves, and like how important it is in this time to stop and to really think through, how to take care of yourself. Because even though we have time, I know as a mom, I'm cooking. I'm cooking a lot. I'm cleaning up a lot. Folding a lot of
What
laundry.
you're thankful for. No.
And I love it. So let's just talk a little bit for a moment about just some self-care we can do, moms and dads, for both in the home while we're caring for our at-home learners.
So a lot of that we do anyway. And I think, as I'm going to speak to moms, but I know that there's lots of different, there's grandparents and there's dads who are taking care of homes and everything else. But we have so much on our plate, and we multitask. And now, it's like you're standing in a fire and someone hands you a baby. You know what I mean? Like, okay, and now what do I do? So now we're learning at home, right? And so this is another stress on us. And we're I'm a person who needs like quiet to like think. I like to think and reflect. And when you're home with lots of people who like that interaction, I don't have that anymore. So I homeschooled for a little while, and I know that there were times where I just had to step away and say, watch out of the box. But find a way to step away, and you've got to have some self-care for yourself as a mommy or as a daddy, because as the mommy is, as good as the mommy is, that's how good the babies are going to be. And so we have to make sure that whether it's a walk, I get up a little earlier in the morning and I walk. And I like to pray or think or whatever it is that we're doing in the morning. But if I don't have that, I notice it in just my well-being. So what are you doing to maintain your well-being? Maybe it's reading a book that just kind of, a novel that just kind of takes your way. And, I got lots of suggestions. I love books. So there's got to be some ways that you can do that, and maybe it's organizing that you're not cooking every day. That okay, it's my day to cook, and then it's so and so's day to cook, or this is soup and sandwiches night, or what is it that's clouding your head or your space, and that you can kind of alleviate that. But it's not wrong for you to take time for yourself, and I battle with that, because there's somebody who needs me. I have 5 children. There's somebody who needs me all the time. And so, but if I'm not okay, then what I'm pouring into them isn't okay, and it's not quality. So you've got to take time for yourself, and that's not like it's a me day. We can't go to the spa anymore and do that. But it is okay to take that time and to do something for yourself and preserve yourself.
And thank you for that permission. I think it is hard because I think we need to be busybodies, even though, I think for those of us who are used to being productive all day and doing things that even at work or whatever, when you're at home, you kind of can feel unproductive and you can slip into some really bad habits. And so I would just say, be productive in taking this time to really, get positive about some things and to self-care. I love
Or
that.
if it's sitting on the porch,
Yeah.
or if it's honestly, I'm gonna go take a shower. You know what I mean? And just like it's a long shower.
Yeah.
Just something that you can do to just preserve.
Yes, good word. That's awesome. So we also talked about, I think we touched on this, and then we just want to dive into this a little bit. And we're going to talk to Laurel a little bit about this because you're into counseling and have taken that route in your life. Fear is something that I know we touched on it. And we're going to really stay there for a minute. Fear is something that we know that many kids are going through. So again, the thankfulness piece is big, but you had shared some thoughts on maybe some ways that we can help our kids and even ourselves to manage this fear factor that's coming into our homes, because the unknowns are the worst for people. We're such control freaks, so we like to control every part of our destiny. But what do you do in a moment when you have zero control? You can't control the fact that you have to stay home. You can't, you'll be breaking the law. So maybe you could speak to that just a little bit for us.
Yeah, so a couple of ideas. Fear and control often go hand in hand, right? So feelings of fear are when we feel like we are out of control or we could be out of control, and it's all the unknowns of the future. So a couple of things that maybe you could talk through if your kids are experiencing any fear right now. I know that they're at home, and so their minds are running, and so are yours possibly, so are mine. So some things that we can do to kind of look at the control piece of that is you can walk your kids through this picture in their head or write it down on paper. I actually recommend writing it down on paper for reasons I'll get to in a minute. But is this circle of control? I call it the locus of control. But you look at this circle and you have them write down inside of the circle all the things that feel out of control. So the things that they cannot control, the things they can't do anything about. So inside the circle could be things like, I can't control that I'm in my house all day. I can't control that I'm around these 4 other people every day, the family. I can't control, what my mom gives me to eat. All those things that they cannot control are inside the circle, which kind of makes sense anyway, because inside of the circle it's contained and you kind of feel like suffocated. But then outside of the circle, have them write down all the things that they can do something about. So things like,
Go for a walk.
Yes, the things that they can do with their time right now. So yes, they will be doing schoolwork. That's something that might be inside the circle. But things they can put outside of the circle are things like where I can do my schoolwork or how I do my schoolwork. Like maybe they can, go through math problems with dad or go through some musical stuff with brother, things like that. How to do the schoolwork can go outside the circle, as long as they're not cheating or anything like that, obviously.
Thank you.
Dayspring appropriate.
Right, approved, exactly. So, and then other things that they can do throughout their day, the things that they can be talking about. Write all of that down outside of the circle. And that way, outside of the circle, there's so much space.
There's so much space.
Yeah, they can just keep
It's a nice
writing
visual.
things down. And then whenever they're not sure what to do with their time, whenever they're feeling more anxious, go back to the circle. And then think, okay, this is inside the circle. I can't do anything about it anyway, so I don't need to worry about it because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So if there's nothing I can do, why am I letting my mind race?
Yeah.
Instead, focus on the outside of the circle. So that's the first idea. Yes.
Yes.
The second thing to do for you or for your kids is to think through this process in their mind of, so what then? So when we have fears, and again, that fear of the unknown, the fear of not being in control, thinking through, So if this happens, what then? So let's say one of your kids are worried about mom or dad getting sick, getting coronavirus even. I know that's a real fear for some people right now. Okay, let's say mom gets sick. So what then? Well, mom will have to go to the doctor. Okay, so what then? We've got good doctors. They're going to take care of her. So what then? Okay, dad's going to take care of me, or grandma and grandpa are going to take care of me while they're, at the doctor. So what then? We sit and we wait. So what then do we do while we wait? So what then? Just keep going through so what then, and keep it positive as much as you can as what will we do if this happens? What will we have a plan in place? That way they feel a little more in control about the things that might be out of their control. So those are my 2 ideas. The control circle and then the so what then. Just to kind of give them a place to go. And as I always recommend writing things down because our brains work in multiple ways. We say things, we hear things, we write things down. And so processing things in all 3 of those ways is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
That's
That's really good. Well, and I think part of that too is, we can teach our brain to do some things. Again, it's that kind of retraining our brain. And one of the things that we always say in our house is just take your thoughts captive, like stop your thoughts. And that kind of helps stop because sometimes they go to worst case scenario and that's way so far down the what then line that they've gone so far. And even I do that, I have a gift of unnecessary panic sometimes. And so I'll go all the way to the worst case scenario and there's like 30 steps before that, and so I think maybe giving them some of that, controlling the brain, stopping that brain, that negative thought. So that is good.
That's very good. Good work. I'm going to rewatch this. So.
Right.
I've been doing this myself. I've already done the control circle. I did it like last
So
week.
good.
Well, and we shared this. Another point to sign on for Shine or have your kids sign up for Shine. You talked about that with the girls, and so for them to hear that from her, it's just valuable. It's valuable to hear that. So. You know what? That kind of sums it up. I was going to see if we had any questions coming out our way. Nope. A good question? Okay, let's see what it says. Love our morning meetups. I love the idea to think thankful. I know, right?
So good.
It is good.
I'm thankful for that comment.
And as we move on with the morning meetups, if we continue this, format or whatever, if we're allowed, it might be from our homes, and that's okay. We can do it. We can do it. We would love to hear what questions you have, what you would like us to talk about, because I think it's very valuable to hear how other people are thinking. I've picked up several things today.
Yes.
So I think that as we move forward, we would love you just to, if you want to email the school, if you want to email me, if you want to email any of us here, we would love to hear what topics you are concerned about, thinking about, would like to hear more about, and we can do research, we can do whatever, just to make sure that these
We
are
can make up
valuable for you.
anything.
We can make stuff up. But also don't feel like you have to watch it too. You can use it in a podcast format too. You can just put it on and listen to it while we're doing laundry or cooking or cleaning or sanitizing or whatever we're doing these days too. So
that's so good. And the last thing we really want to end with is don't be afraid to have some fun in this time. I mean, I know that it's a serious time, but we control the temperament of the home. We're the thermostats, and so we kind of control the temperature. So I would just say, just have fun, land on fun and hope and positivity, and it will be a good environment for your family. So
yeah, my mom had a really great gift with that, and so no matter, I look back on my childhood like that was a really hard time we went through, and she had this magical way of, but it'll be fun because, and she kind of Pollyanna everything. If you've ever watched, you have time now.
That's a good movie, Pollyanna.
Yes, it's clean.
It's on Disney.
It's on Disney Plus. It's great. But she just had this bright, sunshiny way of no matter what situation anyone was going through, that she could find the good in it and make it fun or make a game out of it. And we're going to need to kind of Pollyanna a little bit through this, because if we're doing that, I remember as a little girl, like 3.5, 4 years old, thinking, this is kind of crummy, but Mom's okay, and she's having
still
fun,
smiling.
so I guess we're doing it, and really it worked, and obviously we can't do that through everything, but we're going to have that mindset for our kids, because they're watching us, they're watching how we react to things, and they cue off of that. So if we're stressed and fear, and we have that fear, which we're going to, how does mom deal with that? How does dad deal with it? They're taking notes mentally, so we can walk them through it, and it's okay to check with them. how are you feeling? Does this make you feel scared? Let's talk about it. I feel scared too.
And then walk through the, and then the, so what then?
And so what then? I love that. So what?
You know when you're on an airplane and turbulence hits and everybody looks to the flight attendants to see what they're going to happen. And so
That's so
I always
good.
think about this in my home in any environment where, because kind of when you're the leader of something, you have to be the flight attendant who says, whether I'm going to put the mask on or take the mask off, right? So when you see the flight attendant going for the oxygen mask, you're like, oh, it's bad. So let's be the flight attendants who control the environment. That we're just going to stay calm. The turbulence is there.
And it's fun to do this anyway.
Yeah.
That's right.
It is fun to do this, but I will just give you one little thing. When I was, we lived in Missouri for a while, and there was a season of tornadoes, and we lived during a really big tornado that happened in 2011. But anyway, I remember my kids were little, and one of the ways we coped in that time was I would literally take them to the bathtub because we didn't have basement there, and we would get into the bathtub and be like, guys, we're gonna get into the ship. Go grab all of the gear you need to be on the boat. And so we would grab, because you have to grab things to cover your head for safety reasons, but my mindset was, Johnny was traveling at the time, and so I was like, I've got to get them into this bathtub, but I need them to not panic. And so we pretended like it was a boat, and we went on a trip. And honestly, it was so scary because you could hear the tornadoes and the sirens going. But in that boat, we were safe. We were safe in that boat, and it was just a little trick that I played, even for myself. Like, we're just gonna make the most of the tornadic environment around me. And I don't know if they even remember that, but it was just a way to work in the situation. So,
And there's another idea for when we're home. We could all go in
What's
the
that?
bathtub. There's a tornado.
Maybe not.
We're a little bigger now.
Okay, so one thing to remember, the way we are doing distance learning has given them a little normal back. So is this something that, okay, it came from online. The way we are doing distance learning has given them a little normal back. So thank you for sharing that. It has given them normal back.
Schedules are huge. Routine. Kids and people in general, that's part of the stress, and I'm sure you could speak to that as well. If we don't have a routine, if we don't have a schedule, we're kind of like,
Fish out of water.
There's no walls around me, I don't know what to do. So that is a normal thing, and that has, thank you so much for that.
That was great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. We hope you find some normalcy in this time.
Yes.
So.
And we're here, and we're normal.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But we are here to walk through it with you. So if there's anything we can do for you, we'd be happy to reach out. And we have ways now. We can do all different kinds of things online. So thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Good to hang with you girls.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.